everybody. We're here. It's good to be here. I fly all the time, so it's nice to have a gig at home where I get to go to sleep in my own bed, so I'm pretty stoked about that. I fly all the time. I should be the best at flying, and I'm not. I'm like kind of the worst. I don't have TSA pre-check. Yeah, I know. I should have it. I should totally have it. And I don't have it for a dumb reason. I don't have it because you don't just buy it online. If that was the only step, I would totally have it. That's why I have every dumb thing I have in my house. It's because I had too many drinks and went on Amazon, and 2 days later I go to my mailbox and I'm like, oh, I was sad 2 days ago. And now I have new coasters. Look at that. Isn't that wonderful? I got brand new coasters. So if it was like that, I would totally have TSA pre-check, but that's not the way it goes. You gotta buy it online, then go to a building for an interview, and I don't do that. That's not what I do. I'll buy anything online, but you bring it to my door, okay? Amazon has ruined me as a human being. I'll buy anything online, but you bring it to my door, all right? I'm gonna answer it, I'm gonna be wearing a robe, it's gonna be open, all right? I'm gonna feel like a customer in this situation. But that's not the way it works. You gotta go, so I don't have it. So when I fly, I gotta be in line with everybody else. You know, people that fly once in a lifetime. You know, these people, they just show up to the airport covered in belts, just head to toe. Every belt they own. Like, what? I gotta take this off? Damn it, I'm wearing all of them. Or it'll be some lady with like boots up to their thighs, like, oh, you had to go to Hot Topic before this flight? You're gonna need a spotter to take that boot off. I wanna see that happen. Those are the people I'm behind, so I'm usually having a pretty bad time. And earlier this year, I was flying out of Charlotte, North Carolina. I was flying home, and it was early. It was 5 in the morning. And there's only 2 people in the security line, me and one lady in front of me. I'm like, cool, this is going to be fine. And it wasn't, because this lady in front of me was traveling with the most amount of food I've ever seen anyone travel with in my entire life. She just kept pulling snacks out of her carry-on. Just jams and jars and crackers and nonsense, to the point where me and the TSA agent locked eyes, and we just went, That's how much food she brought, that I had a non-verbal conversation with a stranger about it, where we just went, I guess. And then this lady, I'm not making this up, she pulled out a giant tub of cream cheese. A big vat of it, about that big, just plump. And that's when the TSA agent goes, ma'am, that's too much cream cheese. And I could tell she had never said that sentence in her entire life, all right? And she'd been around a while. Never had she uttered those words in that order. Ma'am, that's too much cream cheese. She'd never said that at a deli, not at Nana's house, never in her entire life. I'll be honest with you, I don't know how she knew it was too much cream cheese. I doubt they have a chart in the break room, like, hey, everyone's allowed this much cream cheese, but she clearly brought this much. She just goes, ma'am, that's 2 ounces too much cream cheese. And when she said that, she probably thought what I did, that this lady would just throw it away and we could go about our lives. We were dealing with a lunatic on that morning. Because what this lady did, I'm not making this up, she peeled off the lid and decided to finger out what she thought 2 ounces of cream cheese was and started flinging it into the trash. That's when, with my eyes, I said, I bet you didn't guess that's what was gonna happen. I bet you didn't guess that's what she was gonna do. That wasn't in your top 100 list of guesses. No way at 5 in the morning this lady's gonna peel off the lid and just start figuring out cream cheese like a sloth on National Geographic and just start flinging it into the trash. But that's what she did. Have you ever been up so early you can't react? That's where I was. It was 5 in the morning. I'm watching this lady fingering cream cheese. Everything in me was like, what in the hell is the matter with you? But the only thing that came out was, all right. I guess that's what we're doing. That's how today's gonna go. The worst part was I was behind her. She's ahead of me, all right? This lady is now covered in cream cheese, both hands. She went through the body scanner like that, just covered in cream cheese. All of her luggage covered in it, the x-ray machine, the little rubber flaps, cream cheese. All of my stuff's next. I'm behind her. I'm pushing it through that mess. I look up at the TSA agent. I'm like, I should sign up for that pre-check, huh? Shove my stuff in there. It's dangerous out there. It's what it's like traveling. There's a lot of danger, you know? That's most of my comedy right there. It's just observational, and then like, I go, I'm becoming evil, But that is a lot of my comedy. I just walk around and look at stuff, and I go, that's pretty silly. I'll talk about that. At that same airport with the cream cheese lady, I saw a cowboy at the airport, like a real one, like a full-on one. He had the hat and the boots, just the full. It's weird to see him there, Like I know cowboys fly, but at the same time, you're like, this isn't how you travel, It's still bizarre, like, it's weird. It's like anytime you see like an Amish person, like outside of a postcard, you're like, what are you doing out here with the rest of us? Get back on my refrigerator, So anyway, full-on cowboy, this dude. He had the hat, the boots with the dirt, the Wranglers, just that kind of walk. He had the dip, the tobacco in the front. Is that not the manliest look on the planet? Dude, you see that in another car, and you're like, yeah, that's your parking spot. Because that's terrifying. This dude was just exuding testosterone. He's like the manliest, just like a Chernobyl of testosterone. It's just wafting into the air. He was walking by women. They were getting pregnant. That's how much was coming off of him. Wasn't even his fault. They should have taken a healthy step back, all right? They smelled his pheromones coming, all right? So anyway, full-on cowboy. The hat, the boots, the dirt, the Wranglers, the dip, the hit. And then in his hand, I'm not making this up, iced vanilla latte. I'd have paid $100 to watch that man order that latte. Can you imagine that? Just full-on cowboy? Madam? Can I get an iced vanilla latte? Do you do almond milk? That's how I order it, so I figure that's how that goes down. It's good out there. Yeah, cream cheese lady. Traveling's dangerous. Don't let anyone tell you it's not. I almost died in an Uber this year. That almost happened. I was in an Uber in Seattle, Washington, and I had an Uber driver stop on the freeway. And I don't mean he pulled over. I mean he brought it to 0 miles per hour on the interstate. And that's when I started screaming, which I think is pretty normal in that situation. I don't think I'm out of line or anything. I was screaming things like, hey, we're all gonna die. And that's when I found out he didn't speak any English. So that meant nothing to him. He just thought I was being rude back there. He's like, why is that guy screaming? I'm trying not to drive right now. This is how the whole thing started. I did a show at a club, and then afterwards I was gonna meet some friends at a bar in downtown Seattle. This place called the Crocodile Cafe. So I ordered an Uber, and because I'm responsible. And he shows up, and this is how I should have known that he didn't speak English. I got in, and he goes, you're going home? And I'm like, no, I'm going to the Crocodile Cafe. And he goes, you're going home. And like, I was gonna correct him, but I'm like, why? I don't care if he thinks I live there. Just take me to the thing on your phone, So he said, you're going home. I'm like, yeah, all right, I don't care. And then he pulls out, and his phone starts yelling directions at him in a language I've never heard in my entire life. And I'm like, oh, that's interesting. But at the same time, I don't need to understand that. As long as you understand whatever the hell that's saying, and it's taking us to the Crocodile Cafe / my house, we're good to go. So I'm not paying attention now. I'm out of the transaction. I'm just in the back on my phone, enjoying my life. And then we're on the freeway, and I just feel like we stop. And I look around, and I'm like, yeah, there we are. 1 a.m, in the middle of the 5 South, right before you hit downtown, doing 0 miles an hour. And I started screaming, hey, we're all gonna die. But that doesn't mean anything, because the only English he knows is you're going home. That's all he knows. And he's pointing at his phone, and there was a fork in the road. That's why he had stopped. There was a fork, and he's like, and I'm like, you gotta make that decision doing 70. That's a call you make on the run. You just pick one. Even if you pick the wrong one, it's all right. We'll get a second chance. We can fix this. But you know how we won't get a second chance? We get plowed into from behind because you're doing 0 miles an hour on the interstate. It's not gonna be a fun accident. We're not gonna high five and exchange information. There will be a fire. So I'm screaming at him, and he finally starts moving. He starts going, and he eventually gets me to the bar. And as I walk into the bar, the first thought that came to my head was, I should have just driven drunk. I should have just drunkenly driven my rental car. And I know that's wrong. But I don't care how drunk I was that night. I wasn't drunk enough to stop on the freeway. I might have hugged another lane a little bit, but I wouldn't have brought it to 0 miles an hour. Everybody stop, there's a fork in the road. We're not going anywhere till we figure this out. So it's dangerous out there. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise. I don't want to make it sound all bad. There is good stuff out there. It's been a good year for me. This is my first year of acting like a real adult, so it's good, you know? I did a real adult stuff this year. I bought a couch this year. Yeah. I'm not trying to sound like I've never had a couch. I'm just trying to say I've never paid for one before, all right? You know what I mean? There's always been one around. Like, I remember the first place I ever moved into, my buddy and I, there was like a couch next to the dumpster, so we just picked that up, brought it into the apartment, sprayed some Febreze on it, and then a year later, the lease was up, we were moving out, so we picked it up, put it back next to the dumpster, and I just thought that's how couches worked. But no, apparently there's a whole store full of them. You can just get a new one. So I got a new couch, that was cool. I paid my taxes this year. Never did that before. First timer. You know? And I'm not trying to sound like a tax cheat either. I've always filed my taxes, but all the other years the government was like, ooh, it looks like you need this. In fact, here's a little extra. We're worried about you. We don't know how you're getting by. Yeah. This is the first year they asked me for money, and just like that, I'm now a Republican. That's how that works. First 31 years, bleeding heart liberal. We got to help everybody. So this year, the government's like, you owe us $13,000. I'm like, oh, it sounds like the rest of you need to pick yourselves up by your bootstraps. I'm out here pulling the damn wagon, stuck behind the cream cheese lady. I almost died in an Uber in Seattle. This is my money. That's my favorite joke, because that's for everybody right there. That's a bipartisan tax joke right there. Because one side's like, oh, that's funny, he's being ironic, and the other side's like, he's seeing the light. It's a good year, though, man. I went out, also got me a retirement, got me one of those retirement plans I kept hearing about. You got a retirement, sir? Yeah. No? Oh, you're just rolling the dice. All right. I'm out there, man. I got a retirement. And I'm a comedian. We're not supposed to have a retirement. We're just supposed to, like, die in a hotel room. That's what the guy at the bank said. He goes, I thought you were supposed to, like, die in a Hampton Inn. And I'm like, yeah, I'm trying something different. So let's give me one of those retirements, you know? So I went in there, I got a traditional IRA, because I don't know anything. He goes, do you want a Roth or a traditional? And I'm like, I enjoy a missionary position. Let's go traditional. Let's make eye contact during this retirement. So I got a traditional IRA. I thought it was going to be a great experience. Going in, getting a retirement, I'll be like, oh, good, I'll be taken care of in my later years. It wasn't that. It was a really depressing interview. That's all it was. It was super depressing. His first question out of the gates, he goes, well, when are you going to retire? And I'm like, I don't know. What are people saying? You know, like, when's everyone else retiring? And I know you're not supposed to live your life that way. Like, oh, if everyone jumps off a bridge, are you? Yeah, I'm not going to be lonely up there. Just some sad, lonely man walking around on a bridge by himself. I'm going with everybody else. So I'm like, well, when's everyone else retiring? And he goes, well, a lot of people now are saying 68. And I'm like, all right, put me down for 68. And then he goes, all right, now how long do you need this retirement money to last you? And I'm like, are you asking me when I'm gonna die? And he didn't say yes, but he also didn't say no. He just kind of went, And I'm like, I don't know. What's everybody saying? Like, When's everybody else dying? Yeah? And he goes, well, a lot of people are saying that they need this money for 15 years after 68. And I'm like, well, what happens if I live 16 years? And that's right, I think he got annoyed because he cut me off. He goes, look, do you want it or not? And I was like, all right, I'm in. So I got a retirement. I'm retiring at 68, and I need to be dead. 15 years after that. If I live beyond that, you guys are gonna be seeing some GoFundMes going up. Because I'm in some trouble. That's how it is out there. That scares me. I never really thought about how long I'm gonna live until then. And I was like, man, we're gonna live for a long time. All of us in this room, we're gonna live for advancements in medicine. We're gonna live for a lot longer than we think we are. I never really thought about it until, actually this time last year, I was watching the George H.W. Bush funeral. And the reason I was watching that funeral is because Bob Dole's name was trending on Twitter. And the reason his name was trending on Twitter is because at 94 years old, Bob Dole stood up out of a wheelchair and saluted the former president. And I was like, hell yeah, I'm watching that video. I love heartwarming stuff like that. Like I wake up every morning watching those dodo videos on Facebook. Are you guys into those? If you guys don't know what it is, I'll explain. A dodo, every video, they take like two adorable animals. So just take like a puppy and a duck and throw them a little baby pool, and then they play around. They'll put piano music in the background. Da-da-da-da-da, it's a puppy and a duck. They don't have parents, but they got each other, diddly-doo, you know? I watch those and I cry. That's how I start my day, with a good, healthy cry, you know? So here I am on Twitter, and I'm like, they got video of 94-year-old Bob Dole standing up out of a wheelchair to salute the former president. Hell yeah, I'm watching that. I'm ready to have the cockles of my heart warmed. So I hit go on that video. I don't know if you guys saw that video. That's not what standing up looks like. Poor Bob Dole didn't stand up at all. There was a giant man next to him that picked him up against his will. It honestly didn't even look like he was trying to stand him up. It looked like he was trying to add another body to the box. Like, hey, before you seal that up, I got one more for you. Poor Bob Dole was just lifted against his will and like a marionette saluted and just jumped off and wheeled off to another activity. And I'm like, that's what 94 looks like? They never show us that. Anytime someone gets really old in the community, like if someone makes it to 100, the local news shows up, and it's some lady who's like 104, and she still takes a jazzercise class. And you're like, how'd you make it to 104? She's like, I never stopped dancing. And you're like, oh, I could do that, but not Bob Dole just being resurrected out of a wheelchair. You're just watching that going, how the hell did they get a suit on him? That looks terrifying. It's something you gotta keep in mind, you know. That's good. Yeah, I've been thinking about, you know, how long I'm gonna live. I don't like the trajectory of who I'm becoming. That's already in question right there. I was thinking every year I become less patient and I complain more. I can't wait in lines. I can't do that anymore. If there's a line, I guess I'm not doing that. Plans have changed. I can't do it anymore. And I complain out loud. I used to be able to keep my complaints in my heart where it belongs, but it's coming out. Not even to anybody, just out. Just for it all, you know? Like if you've ever been in like a crowded place, like I don't know, like a farmer's market or a mall or something, and off in the distance you just hear someone just, ah, damn it! Why? And you're like, who the hell is that? That's me. That's who I've become. It's really bad. And I travel a lot, and every town I go to has like a famous burger place. Like, you could be anywhere. You could be in Davenport, Iowa, and someone will be like, oh, you've never been to Davenport? You gotta go to Slappy's Meats. That's the best burger in the whole damn state. You better get over to Slappy's Meats. And I'm like, all right, man, I like burgers. I'll go check this out. And then I go over there, and there's like a line coming out of it, and I go, oh, I guess I'll never know. And I go to a Wendy's. That's what I do. There's never a line at a Wendy's. Can't wait in lines. One time I had to pee. I was connecting at an airport. I had to pee, and I ran, and there was a line coming out of it, and to nobody I yelled, oh, I guess I'll just hold it. and I ran off. People were just turning around going, who the hell was that guy? And they just saw me stamping off. And that's me at 32. That's not good. It's not a good trajectory. All that stuff, man. I used to make fun of millennials. I used to do that until I did a Google search. And I realized I am one. Now I don't think they're that bad. That's exactly who I am right there. I'm a total hypocrite. I will make fun of a group of people till I realize I am that group of people, and then I go, come on, you guys. They're all right. If I did have to pick on millennials, I think our big issue is we're too self-aware. We know exactly what's wrong with us and why, and I don't know if that's healthy. Because nobody seems to be getting better. They just know what's wrong with them. You know, everyone's like, I have anxiety. And it's like, oh, what are you doing about that? Nothing, I'm telling you, so you work around it. And it's like, you know, half the battle's won. Yeah, you established, but then... And people are too quick to tell you what their ailments are. Shut up about them a little longer, you know? Within meeting somebody, like, I have anxiety. Because when I was 8, my brother locked me in a closet and kept me there all weekend. It's like, that's for tomorrow. That's for if we meet again tomorrow. That's not for now. We just met. And it's not like we're the first generation to have anxiety. It's just we're the first ones to look into it, you know? Previous generations had anxiety, they just didn't know what it was. They're just like, I don't know, when I go to Costco, my cheeks tingle. And they kept it at that. They didn't have time to dig into their claustrophobia issues. This is how it goes. There are benefits, there are things about millennials I like. We've renamed things more positively, and I enjoy that. Like, I'm a 32-year-old man who lives in a studio apartment. In any other era, I'd be considered a loser, all right? But now I'm called a minimalist. How much better is that? That guy's not going through a divorce. He cares about his carbon footprint. That's what's happening here. Man's a hero. That's what it's like out there. Yeah, I live in a studio apartment. If you guys don't know what that is, that's when it's all there. All of it. I like living in a studio. I've never lost anything, you know? Like before I came to the show, I'm like, oh, where's my wallet? Oh, there it is right there. It's so easy to find things when there aren't walls in the way. All your belongings centrally located. Pretty solid. The only time I don't like the studio is if I bring a nice young lady over. It's a little presumptuous because my bed's right there. And I don't want her to think we have to go to that area of my studio. We can keep this date in the living room kitchen quadrant. Right over here. So this is what I do to make it feel a little more comfortable. I have a quilt that my mother knit, and I put that over my bed, and I make note of it as I give a tour of my domicile from the doorway. I go, welcome, this is my studio. Right now we're in the kitchen. That's the living room area. That's my bed, but that's a quilt that my mother knit. And you can just see the tension come down in their eyes, like, everything's gonna be all right. And I'm like, of course it is. And that doesn't mean we can't go over there. Like, if the date goes really well, of course we can. We can go over there. We can fold the quilt together. Walk towards me. Fold it up, put it away, onto the sexton. You can tell by the way I said that. It doesn't happen a lot. That's the way it is. Like it. Any divorced people out there? Clap it up if you're divorced. All right. Good, happy claps. I like it. I'm going through a divorce. I didn't like to tell people, because usually when I tell people I'm going through a divorce, it'd be people going, aw. And it's like, how do you know that? You know what I mean? How do you know it's an aw situation? How do you know you shouldn't have been going aw when we were together? You don't know that. You're just making an assumption. I think it's because we have a negative connotation on divorce in this country, and I don't know why. Like, I remember when I first split up with my ex, I told my buddy, I'm like, yeah, I'm going through a divorce. My buddy's like, oh, man, sorry about your failed marriage. And I was like, oof. You want to take a little off of that? Yikes. I'll be honest with you, I don't look at my marriage as failed. My marriage is just like your marriage. We just got through it quicker. That's all. The rest of you guys are super slow, all right? You're taking that coastal road doing 30 miles an hour. My ex and I were on the freeway doing 90. Going, let's hurry up. We have other marriages to get to. My marriage wasn't a failure. It was efficient, is what it was. I'm still technically married because the paperwork's hard to fill out. It is. I see why there's lawyers now. It's not even like we're fighting over anything. It's just hard. Like, I was going to fill it out myself, and the first page is easy. The first page, you're like, oh, we're going to be done by lunchtime. This is going to be great. The first page is like, name? Hell yeah, got one of those. Address? Yep, got a new one of those. It's the second page that gets you. The second page, you got to write down all your assets. But we didn't own anything, and we didn't have any kids, so I'm over there just going, how the hell do you spell Keurig? Which letter has the dots over it? 'Cause I'm keeping that. I'm keeping the coffee maker. That's what it's like out there. So I'm out there in the dating scene. I don't like it. Not a fan of it. I don't like modern dating. I don't like it. There's a lot of sex without feelings out there, and I'm not a fan. Sex without feelings is weird. Sex without feelings is, Sex without feelings is like going to Cold Stone, but not getting any of the toppings. You know? It's like, really? Just a scoop of vanilla? You could have done this at home by yourself. You came outdoors for this? What are you doing? Just not a fan of it. I went on a bad date recently. On a bad date, and it wasn't anyone's fault. We just didn't get along. The sushi was fine. It wasn't the food's fault. It's just we didn't connect. You know, sometimes you don't connect with people. You know, she didn't like anything I had to say. I didn't like anything she had to say. So I called it out. I'm like, this isn't going really well, is it? And she's like, nope. And I was like, it was out in the air. And then a couple sakis later, we're back at the studio. And I'm like, how the hell did this happen? There was nothing. Like, you ever look down at somebody and you're like, she could have burst into flames. And I would have been mainly concerned about the quilt. Do you understand? I would have been like, my mother knit that. Get the hell out of here. She's too old. She can't do it again. I like you guys. This is a good crowd. It's a fire crowd. You guys are going along with it. Sometimes people get sad. They do. This is the worst. I can tell these are healthy marriages and relationships here. Because anytime I perform in front of not healthy marriages and relationships, they don't laugh at any of that stuff. They're just like, is this dude a fortune teller? What's this dude doing right now? So congratulations, a lot of healthy relationships in here. But yeah, I like my life now. I live in Normal Heights, live in a little studio there. There's an alley behind my house. There's a homeless guy back there. I'm pretty sure I'm gonna fight. That's what's going on with me. I don't know if anyone else is preparing to fight a man without a home, but that's where my life's at right now. This is how it started. I was walking to get coffee, and I was walking down my alley. This dude rode a bike past me, and I nodded at him. You know how you nod at people? You give them a little healthy, I acknowledge you as a human being nod. Well, he didn't nod back, and I'm like, oh, we're gonna fight to the death one day. Because that's what that means, you know? We just don't know when. We just pass each other in the alley every day, just like, is it today? You know? I gotta be honest with you, that fight's gonna happen and I'm gonna win, all right? He doesn't know, but I've been taking a boxing class for 3 years, all right? He's not ready for the sweet science, all right? That guy's not ready for that. He's used to fighting other lunatics, some dude with a tube sock filled with a little battery swinging it over his head. That's not what I'm bringing to the table. I got a good jab, work my angles. I take a fish oil supplement every morning, all right? This guy's not prepared. I got omega-3 fatty acids coming out of the gills, all right? His joints are brittle. Mine are lubed up, ready for action. That's who I am some days. Some days I'm that guy. I'm ready to fight a man without a home. Do you ever get called out on your nonsense? You ever get called out and you're like, I guess that's not who I am. I was driving to a show. I was merging onto a freeway and someone cut me off. They zoomed me. They're doing like 90 in the slow lane. Zoomed me, came into the exit lane. So I gave them the brights. You ever flash the brights at somebody? You ever give them the, oh, that's how you're gonna drive? Why don't you suck on that, huh? Huh? You're gonna disrespect me like that? Get along. Don't even dare look in your rearview mirror. I will burn your retinas. Better put your shades on, baby. I'm bringing the heat. So I gave him the brights. And then as soon as I gave him the brights, the dude hit the brakes, came back onto the freeway. And that's when I went, oh, I've made a mistake. And I told you, I'm ready to fight this homeless man in the alley, but I'm not ready to fight whoever this lunatic is. This man's certifiably insane. This man just changed his whole evening itinerary. He was leaving the freeway. He was probably on his way home to have dinner with his family until I hit him with the brights. He's like, oh, never mind. I gotta go fist fight a stranger on the freeway. So now he gets back on. Now I gotta lose him. You ever try losing someone that's ahead of you? That is so hard. That means I gotta catch up to him, then ditch him. You ever try losing someone while driving a Honda Fit? Extra hard. I had to take it off econ mode. And I love the environment, but I need all 115 ponies to get out of this quagmire. That's where my life's at. That's where it's at. It's nice. I had a good Thanksgiving. Yeah, it was good. I got to see my mom a little bit. I'm not wearing my Fitbit. That's what she got me for Christmas last year. My mom got me a Fitbit. I don't know if anyone else rocks the Fitbit. No? All right. One person, there you go, cool. I always think moms are like 5 years behind on the hottest new gift. I think that's what it is. My mom was like, probably got like an email in her Yahoo account. And she's like, oh, the hot new Christmas item, the Fitbit. I'm gonna get that for my boy. So she got it for me, and I love it. It broke on me, but I love the Fitbit. It counts your steps. It also tells you your heart rate. Like with that Fitbit, I found out that my resting heart rate is 51 beats per minute, which I didn't know. I didn't know if that was good or not, so I Googled, is that good? And I found out it's not good. I found out that a normal resting heart rate is between 60 beats and 100 beats, and if you have less than that, you have what they call bradycardia. And I'm reading all that going, but this is a Christmas gift. You're not allowed to find out you have a heart ailment from a Christmas gift. That's against the rules of Christmas. Hey, how'd you find out your heart sucked? The birth of Jesus? Yeah, we do a gift exchange every year, and that's where I found out. It was horrible. And I'm one of those people, like, I was like looking up the symptoms of bradycardia, and I'm one of those people when I'm like reading the symptoms, I now have all the symptoms. I'm one of those people. They're like, if you have bradycardia, you might also have a hyperthyroid. And I'm like, oh, it's feeling hyper. I didn't even know the thyroid was here. Thankfully, there's a diagram next to the definition, and I'm like, oh yeah, right there, hyperactive. And they're like, if you have a hyperthyroid, you might also suffer from fatigue. And I'm like, I'm fatigued right now. Not thinking that I was doing all this at midnight right before I was going to bed. Yeah, a little fatigued. So I'm freaking out about it, and I post about it on Instagram. I'm like, I'm gonna die. 51 beats, bradycardia. Bye. And thankfully, one of my friends on there, she's a nurse. She works at a hospital. And she responded, she goes, first of all, you're an idiot. Second of all, 51 beats per minute isn't necessarily bad. It just means you have good cardiovascular strength. That's all, and you're fine. And then I responded, well, if it's a good thing, then they shouldn't name it. If it's a positive thing, don't waste time giving it a name. When you Google 51 beats per minute, just a big thumbs up should come up. Going, you're doing fine. No need to go down a rabbit hole of worry. Because that's what I did. I just went down. I'm a total hypochondriac. I used to be a normal person, like you guys, but now I have to look everything up. I feel like normal people don't look things up. Normal people just wake up in the morning like, no, that's how my knee bends now. I just make sure everything's to my left. This isn't so bad. Not me. I gotta Google the patella tendon at midnight going, I think I tore my ACL. Probably from all these steps. It's bad. My worst case of hypochondria happened last year. Where one night I thought I had bed bugs in my head. Yeah. Don't worry, it wasn't bed bugs. It turned out to be my first ever bout of hives. But by the time I found that out, it was way too late. I'd thrown a lot of stuff away. This is what happened. I took a hot shower, and it was at midnight. I took a hot shower. I came out. I had all these itchy red bumps down my side. And I'm like, bed bugs. That's for sure what it is. I travel every week. This was bound to happen. So I Google image search bed bug bites. And, I scrolled past the ones it didn't look like. And then I found one it kind of did look like. And I'm like, oh, bed bugs. So I freak out. I immediately grabbed my pillows, throw them in a dumpster in the alley behind my place. I ripped a tapestry off the wall. I'm like, they're for sure in that. Threw that out, and then I'm watching YouTube videos on how to get rid of bed bugs. And this one video is like, don't throw your mattress away as I'm dragging my mattress out. And they're like, yeah, don't throw your mattress away because bugs can be in the walls and they'll just infect your new mattress. And I'm like, oh, so I gotta burn the place. No time to run this by the landlord. This is an emergency. Then there was another video that said you got to be careful when you're throwing your stuff away because the bugs can jump on your clothes and come back with you. I'm like, oh, so you're saying I got to get naked. All right. So at 3 in the morning, I took all my clothes off, and I'm just dragging my belongings into the alley behind my dumpster. Or behind my dumpster? Yeah, I said that right. Good, I'll be Googling dyslexia after the show. I was dragging all my belongings to the dumpster in the alley at 3 in the morning, and I'm just praying none of my neighbors are watching. Because I'm like, hey, I don't need that. They're just looking down. They're like, oh, man, we didn't know Zoltan was into meth. Look at him down there. He's throwing all his stuff away. It was the worst night ever. From midnight to 6 a.m., nothing but laundry, nothing but scrubbing, throwing stuff away, watching YouTube videos, reading blogs, losing my mind. And next morning, the sun came up. I called every exterminator in San Diego. But the first one that answered, I was so flustered that I accidentally called it a Terminator. They're like, how can we help you? I'm like, I need a Terminator. And they're like, do you mean exterminator? I'm like, there's no time to split hairs. This is an emergency. Send your top guy. So they sent an adult to my house. A full-grown man. He had his name sewn on his shirt. He looked legit. And he comes by. He's got a clipboard and a flashlight. He's looking around my little place. And he goes, dude, I'm not seeing anything. I don't see any bed bugs. I don't see any evidence of bed bugs. Why in the hell do you think you have bed bugs? And I'm like, well, I got these bites that are gone now. And that's when it clicked. I'm like, I think I had hives. Do you think I had hives? And he goes, I'm not a doctor, I'm an exterminator. And I'm like, you mean Terminator, but all right. But this is how I know he was embarrassed too. He wouldn't charge me. I was like, all right, man, what do I owe you? He goes, how about we just forget I ever came here? And he turned and walked out of my place. And I was just standing there naked going, I might be a hypochondriac. I need to nip this in the bud. It's not a good trajectory for me. I like it though. I like traveling. That's probably my favorite part of doing comedy. Not the getting there part, but seeing different places, that's fun. You know? I like going to places I can pronounce. It's such a big thing. People get particular, you know? If you can't pronounce the town, like Escondido, nailing it, you know? No one's ever corrected me. Actually, nothing. They're like, you're doing so good all the time. I work in Boise, Idaho once a year, and the first time I worked there, they're like, actually, it's pronounced Boise. It's Boise. And I'm like, all right, oh, okay. You know, just so you know, nobody outside of here is calling it that. That little tidbit of knowledge hasn't made it past the city limits. But people do get particular. This time, last December, I was performing. I got hired to do a company Christmas party in Louisville, Kentucky. Those people corrected me immediately, all right? It was a big room. It was like 400 people. I went out there. I was excited to be there. It was my first time in Kentucky. I'm like, hey, it's so good to be here in Louisville. I had 400 people immediately. It's pronounced wool! It's wool, and it wool! And I was like, whoa, I am so sorry, Louisville. I apologize. And they were angry. It's wool. And I'm like, wool, 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 wool. And then finally I'm like, I can't, all right? I can't say it. I think I have too many teeth. I think that's... I think I have too many of these pearly white roadblocks in my face. And I'm unable to go full wool. I'm glad you guys enjoyed that, because they did not. I had a room full of jack-o'-lanterns sneering at me. It was tough to come back from it. I didn't. I bombed for a whole hour. That's a long time to eat it. And here's the thing, when you're a comic and it's not going well, we're still optimistic up here. I'm like in my head going, that's all right, I'll get them with the next one, you know? But I could see in their eyes, they're like, no, we remember how you started. We're gonna hate you forever. I ruined their company Christmas party. I felt bad. And they had this really nicely catered dinner after my show, which I was invited to before I went on stage. Like when I showed up, the lady who booked me was like, hey, afterwards we got this dinner, please hang out for dinner. I'm like, I'd love to, I love dinner. And then I went up and bombed for an hour, and you don't hang out after that. It's a little inside pro comedy tip. You don't bomb for an hour and then just sit down next to someone going, what are we doing here, chicken piccata? Huh? No, you get the hell out of there, man. So I had dinner at Waffle House. That's where I went. I went to Waffle House. Yeah, I'm a fan. I'm a fan of Waffle House. We don't have them here in town, or in California at all, I believe. But anytime I perform somewhere where they have a Waffle House, I get super excited. I'm like, hell yeah. I love it. And every time I eat there, I'm like, I wish we had these in San Diego. But then I think about it, and I'm glad that we don't, because we wouldn't have the proper Waffle House waitress. And that's what makes that place special. Like, the food's great, but the waitress, that's the heart and soul of that venue. You walk in, they're speaking in riddles. I don't know what the hell they're saying. They make you feel wonderful. The waitresses are like the life coach of the South. They just make you feel great as you come in. They look like they're all knowing. They look like they've lived 10 lives, none of them with moisturizer. They look like they've seen some stuff, you know? So I walked in there, I looked way too excited to be there, all right? And I don't know what this means, but the waitress is like, oh, we better get him a seat quick. He's shaking like a dog about to pass a peach seed. And I was just standing there going, I have no idea what that means, but I do feel welcome. And then they went ahead and sat me at the counter, and like 2 seats down from me, there was a dude. He looked like he just got off his shift at work. It looked like he had a rough day. And the waitress came by, brightened up his day, filled up his coffee, looked him in the eyes, and goes, hey, buck up. Life can't always kick you in the dick. And then just sauntered off. And I was just standing there going, who is this woman? Because I think I'm in love. That's a ride or die, you guys. Everyone's out there looking for someone who's gonna stick through thick and thin. That's the Waffle House waitress. All right, it's not gonna be someone gorgeous. Gorgeous people don't have to put up with much. You can't come home to someone gorgeous and be like, hey, we gotta live outside for a while. They're gonna be like, oh, I don't. Good luck to you out there. That Waffle House waitress, she'll be out there with you, living in the bushes, sharpening butter knives, making weapons. It's a ride or die. Like it. I've been performing a lot in the South in the last 18 months or so. I do enjoy it down there. The only time of year I don't like it is hurricane season, for obvious reasons. But really the reason I hear hurricane season is because anytime a hurricane's about to hit the South, the news always goes to the trailer park and they interview someone who refuses to evacuate. And that offends me personally because I grew up in the trailer park and he's making us all look stupid. Anyone here grow up in the trailer park? One person. All right. Single wide or double wide, friend? Double wide? All right, easy there, you 1%er. Hey, double wide. What are you doing with all that extra width? I grew up in a single wide. That's proper trailer living. Single wide. And I don't like my people getting made fun of, because my mom would always evacuate us. I travel all over the country, and people always assume because I live in California that our big natural disasters, earthquakes, and I always tell them it's not. Like, I've been through a dozen earthquakes, and this is me in every earthquake. It's me going, is that an earthquake? And then it's over, and I go, I think that was an earthquake. Nothing happens. Like, all my bobbleheads are intact. Like, nothing. I don't need to call the insurance company. Everything's fine. Our big thing is fires. Like, that's what I tell people. I go, the fires we get are way worse than anything else. And my mom would evacuate us before the fire department would. Like, the fire department would come by and go, hey, you guys got to go. And that's when people usually evacuate. My mom wouldn't even wait for that. She'd see glowing coming over the hills, and she's like, we're leaving. I'm like, the fire department hasn't even come by. And she's like, we live in a paper house, all right? We could burn this thing down with a fart and a scented candle. We're getting the hell out of here. So, my mom was proactive, is what I'm saying. And that's why I don't like my people getting made fun of when they go to the trailer park, because really that one guy they're interviewing is the only guy sticking around. Everyone else left, because they got a brain, all right? That guy's the only one. And they go up to him like, hey man, there's a Category 5 hurricane coming right here in 3 whole days. Are you gonna evacuate? No. Well, what are you gonna do? We're gonna hunker down. And they go, that's the end of the interview. And they go, back to you. And I'm at home going, I have follow-up questions. Questions 1, 2, and 3. What the hell is a hunker down? What is that? How does one hunker down? Is there a pamphlet on what is it? You just hunker down. You just dip your head into your shoulders and you just hunker down and the storm goes over. And then once it clears, then you de-hunker. I am so sad every time they survive. That's just Mother Nature trying to Swiffer up a little bit. They miss the hunker. That's what it's like out there. Living it, you know. It's good. I usually travel by myself, but sometimes I get to travel with a buddy of mine who opens for me. He's a very funny comic. His name's Dustin Nickerson. He's a good guy. And I like him. It's good to have a buddy out there. We were working in Colorado Springs, I think, like 2 summers ago. And this hotel they put us up at had like a tennis court. And he's like, you want to play tennis? I'm like, I'd love to, you know. I haven't played since high school, even though it looks like I could be ranked. You know, put a headband on me and a fancy watch. Is that guy ranked? But I'm not. I don't know anything, you know. And I'm like, yeah, let's play. But I forgot that my buddy Dustin is like really competitive. He's like one of those guys that doesn't have a half speed. Like he can't play for fun. You know these people? Like he'd be like the type of guy, like if you organize a little Thanksgiving football game, yeah? He'd tackle your aunt, all right? And you'd be like, hey, can you take it easy? There's women and children here. And they're like, no, it's Thursday. We're getting it. I'm like, okay, I guess that's what we're doing. So I forgot that. So we went out there to go play, and I started the game. So I served it. I gave a nice little bloopy, just a nice little, we're playing tennis now, little bloopy serve, and it just went over, and I just see him charge the net, and I'm like, what the hell? So I run up to meet him, and he just rips it over my head, and I'm like, what are you doing? Why are you playing dirty? And he's like, what do you mean playing dirty? I'm like, you know I'm not over there. What are you doing right now? We're just trying to get a nice little rally going. That's all that's happening here. We're not playing for some big bedazzled plate. We're in the parking lot of a Marriott, for God's sakes. Take it down a notch. That's just how he is. He's so competitive. One time he beat me in one-on-one basketball while he was wearing flip-flops. You know how demoralizing that is? He wasn't even wearing shoes, really. He was wearing less than shoes. And he was throwing all these elbows. He hit me twice in the mouth with elbows. And then I saw the third one coming, so I just hugged him. I just wrapped him up, and I went to his ear, and I'm just like, listen, your dad loves you, all right? I don't know what all this is about, but he loves you. I just don't have that. I'm not competitive. I don't have that gene. Whatever the hell that is, I'm missing it. I think it's because I grew up without a dad. I think that's who you learn that from. I grew up with a single mom. Like, I played sports growing up, but it was different. Like, I'd play soccer, and I'd come home. My mom would be like, how was the game? I'd be like, oh, we lost. And she'd be like, oh, so? And I'd be like, yeah, I agree. Like, a dad would be like, what, you lost? Did you try super hard? Did you listen to your coach? Were you a good teammate? Did you leave it all out on the field? My mom was just like, I don't know. You got some sun, hung out with some friends. Sounds like a win to me. And I'm like, yeah, I agree. It does sound like a win. And I did play football. Like, I played football growing up. Played for San Marcos High. Yeah. I wasn't good, but that team didn't have cuts. So I got to be on it. I played on a team with no cuts. The only way you could get cut from the team is if you missed a practice, you know, and I'm sure the coaches were like, I wish this kid would miss a practice. But I never did. I was there every day with my little helmet going, yeah, what's up? I played middle linebacker. That's what I played freshman year. I was a middle linebacker. I was a 6-string middle linebacker. Good. Some of you already know what that means. If you don't know what that means, I'll explain. 6-string middle linebacker means that, like, for me to see the field, about 5 kids gotta die, all right? I gotta hope one of the buses gets lost on the way to the game. Otherwise, no playing time for the Z-Man. There was one game where I almost had to play, and it was the most terrifying day of my life. I still remember it. We were playing against El Camino High, and they had a running back that year that I think was just a full-grown man. I think an adult was like, I want to injure children, and they let him. They gave him all the necessary equipment. He went out there, hurt a lot of kids that day, mainly middle linebackers. One after another kept coming out, and slowly it was coming down to me. And, like, I always wanted to play, but not in this situation. This is I always thought, like, they'd slip me in, like, the blowout, like a fourth quarter blowout situation. Like, I run in there, get a cheap sack at the end like Rudy, and they could carry me off like I did something. Those were my goals, not this. This is a suicide mission. So scared. This is how close it got to me. It came all the way down to 5th string, who's a friend of mine. His name was Anthony Castellanos. And he and I never saw the field, so this was a terrifying moment for both of us. And right before he ran on the field, we had a moment where we just looked into each other's eyes, and he was just like, I'll see ya. And I watched him trot out onto the field. I watched him disappear in the fog. And now I'm scared because it's midway through the 3rd quarter, all right? There's a lot of football left to be played. And I'm like, please just make it till the end. And I wish I could tell you he did, but he didn't, all right? Anthony lasted 1 play. That's how long he lasted. He went in, the play happened, the whistle blew. I saw him come back. He emerged from the fog. But he's coming out like this now. He's just like, And I heard him yell from like 30 yards away. I've never heard a human make this noise before. But he just came out just like, He stepped on my face! Now I'm terrified, okay? I don't know how much you guys know about football, but it's hard to get your face stepped on. There's like a helmet and a face. There's a lot of equipment between you and people's feet, and somehow he got his face mushed with a cleat, mind you. And now I'm on the sidelines going, I can't go in there. I got sensitive cheeks, all right? I'm so scared, but that's when I found out, like, the one positive to being a 6-string middle linebacker. That is so damn low on the depth chart, all right? The coach didn't deem it necessary to put on his game day clipboard, so he didn't know who was next. He's just running up and down the sidelines going, do I have any more linebackers? I need more linebackers. And I'm like, oh, I'm a kicker today. Been a kicker all year, coach. Started working out. Stretching my hamstring, checking the wind. That's right, I was a coward in that situation. I didn't go in. That's because all the other kids had their dads in the stands yelling stuff like, leave it all out on the field, this is your day. My mom would come to those games, but she wasn't yelling that. She was yelling, hey, we don't have any health insurance. Duly noted, Ma. Try playing football knowing that if you get hurt, it's staying that way. It takes a hustle out of you. I also wear contact lenses. I know you can't tell. That's the magic of them. But I didn't get them until after I graduated from high school. So when I was in high school, I wore regular glasses, like yours right there. Yeah. But I wouldn't wear them when I played because I didn't want some final destination injury. So I used to just be out there blind. Like the times I would be out there, I'm a middle linebacker. I don't know where the ball is. I'm just kind of out there just going. And I would see like a clump of kids going that way. I'd be like, hell yeah, all right. And I'd never see the ball carrier till like 5 yards in front of my face. I'd be like, there he is. And I'd hear my mom's voice in my head, we don't have health insurance. Right this way. Success and glory that way, young man. Get all you can get. Freshman year was my first year playing football. I never played Pop Warner. So when they handed out all the pads, that's when I found out that most football players don't wear cups, which was news to me. That sounded like a pretty important piece of equipment. But most people didn't. I remember they gave me all the pads, and I'm holding them like, where's the cup? And they're like, oh, we don't hand that out. You can go get one on your own if you want. And I'm like, I want? That sounds so important. Like helmet number 1, boom, helmet number 2. Like that's very important. I guess I was wise enough at that age to at least see what everyone else did. Not that I was like egregiously in the locker room just looking to see who was wearing a cup, but I was side-eyeing the situation. And there's only one other kid on the team that wore a cup. His name was David, and he got beat up every day for it, And I know now we live in an era where we're very against bullying, which is good. But this is the early 2000s when we were against bullying, but You know what I mean? Like, there weren't any public service announcements about it. There's no commercials, no ad campaigns. It was just like, coaches would be like, hey, can you guys stop beating up David? And we'd be like, no. We really enjoy it. So that was the era we were living in. So I wanted to wear a cup to protect myself, but I didn't want to get beat up like stupid David over here. So my genius idea when I was 14 was to put my cup on in the morning, before school, under my underwear. And I'm telling a room full of strangers this. And I would wear it all throughout the day. And then at the end of the day, I'd quickly put my football pants on, and no one was the wiser. Shockingly, I never got busted. I never got caught. There were some close calls. Like, I remember in the classrooms, remember the aisles were super narrow? You get to your little desk, so I'd have to weasel in there to get to my chair. And one day I was weaseling in, and I accidentally bumped the corner of one of the desks, very lightly, just bump, and it sounded like... And everyone's heads popped up like prairie dogs. Like, what the hell was that? And I'm like, oh, I'm not wearing a cup. That's not what's going on here. You guys need to calm down. That's how it was. I like the camaraderie of it. That's what I liked about it. That's what I like about team sports. Just hanging out with my friends. I didn't really like the games that much or cared if we won. That's what I was into. Yeah, I just liked hanging out with my buddies. I never got into the rah-rah speeches. Coaches would give us these speeches, like these doomsday Armageddon speeches. And everyone else was like, yeah! And I'm like, I don't know. I don't know if I agree. They just come out here like, there is no tomorrow! There is no tomorrow! And all my friends were like, ah! And I'd be over there like, tomorrow's Sunday. All right? Like, I have plans. What the hell is this guy talking about? That's how it was out there. I like it. I don't know, I feel for coaches out there. Like if anyone coaches high school football, I don't know how you guys do it. You know? Because you get fired if these 14-year-olds can't get it together. Isn't that stupid? If these 14-year-old losers can't figure it out there, a grown man and his family have to move. Isn't that dumb? Can you imagine that? Just going home to your wife? We're moving! And she's like, why? Because they found out there was a tomorrow. All right, I don't know what to tell you. Get my resume together. They're 14. It's tough. I don't know how they do it. I don't know how you guys feel, but I feel like I live in the right era. Like, for me. I'm not saying you. I'm saying me. I know a lot of times people go, I was born in the wrong part of time. Like, I'm not. This is exactly where I'm supposed to be. I am the perfect modern male for 2019. This is exactly what you will tell your grandkids about. It's like someone that's like, yeah, he takes a boxing class, but yeah, I don't know if he could do any of it. You know, it's like that weird mix. Like, I feel like if I was born in the 50s, I'd be beaten with a shoe by like some dude with like a tight white t-shirt with a cigarette pack rolled up in the sleeves, just like, be more manly. And you're like, I can't. But I'm in the right era. Like, people can tell I'm not manly, but they're like, but he looks like he has a pretty eclectic record collection. And you're not wrong. There's some funky hits in there. Not manly. Someone asked me once if I could change my own oil, and I was like, I wouldn't even know where the hole is. What are you talking about? And how well do you think I'm doing that you think my garage has a pit in the bottom? So that's how you get your oil changed. I take it to Jiffy Lube. There's a hole down there, and we keep a troll of a person down there. He doesn't get to live in society with the rest of us. We keep him in that hole. Throw some Cracker Jacks down there. Stay down there! No, I don't change my own oil. I'll be honest with you, the scariest time of year for me is right now. It's the winter time. It's when I gotta light the pilot light on my furnace. It's a terrifying time for me. Why is it so scary? That whole thing's covered in warnings. You take the cover off of it, the whole thing. Don't touch that, this will explode, that'll kill you. I'm just trying to make it 72 in here, man. Why is this a life and death situation? I'm just trying not to wear a sweatshirt indoors. That's the only goal. Why is my life on the line? That's a whole day event for me. You gotta understand that. I gotta pump myself up. Just like a football player before a game. Like, there might not be a tomorrow. We gotta get this right. Then I finally get ready to do the deed, so I tie my hair in a bun, because I don't want anything to catch, obviously. And then I get my phone out, put on a YouTube tutorial video, you know, so a 14-year-old Malaysian kid can teach me how to light the pilot light on my furnace. And then I get down there with the lighter, and I'm like, oh my God! Here we go! And every time I do it, I step back, and I'm like, I don't know if this is how a real man attacks this activity. Like a real man just shows up covered in gasoline, strikes a match on his 5 o'clock shadow. Heat for everybody, 'cause I'm a man. Everyone's around him. What a man! Hell yeah, I'm gonna go take a shot of A1 sauce. See you guys for dinner. What a man! Not me, I'm down there going, oh, my eyebrows. Not manly. Now, the least manliest thing about me, I save for the end of my show, because it's going to make a lot of you not like me. But no matter how you react, I'm leaving, okay? So, it doesn't matter. The least manliest thing about me is I can't drive a stick shift, okay? Yeah, listen to that, yeah. And that's what I'm used to. That's what I'm used to. Every time I tell a room full of adults that I can't drive the stick shift, everyone reacts like I just yelled, hey, everybody, I don't have any testicles. And that's not what I'm saying. I totally got 2 of them. All I'm saying is I can't do this. That's all I'm saying. I can't do this. And you know why? Because this is stupid. Did you know this is stupid? Did you know they make cars where you don't even got it anymore? Did you know that? Hey, listen, when you're done churning your own butter, why don't you join us in the 21st century? Listen, when you're done bookkeeping with your abacus, why don't you join us in modern times? You don't have to do this. There's no way you enjoy it. There's a third pedal and a stick. Woo! Let's go on a leisurely drive. Isn't this great? Nope, can't high-five you now. I'm busy as hell over here. Look at me. Look at all this crap I gotta do. What's that, a hill? Nice, let's figure that out. How do you even text in this situation? I'm not a fan. You guys have been wonderful. I've been Zoltan Kaszas.